Last night, the DNA test shattered my world. I learned that my son, Emery, is not biologically connected to my husband, Harold. The man who once whispered, "Thank God," when Emery was born, now stood in our bedroom doorway, asking me to keep a secret he had clearly been hiding for decades. And when he said, "Tell Emery," because he can't survive the truth, I realized this wasn't just betrayal. It was terror. I couldn't breathe. My lips parted, but no sound came out. Harold didn't look angry or worried. He looked exhausted, like a man who carried a weight too heavy for too long. What truth? I finally croaked, my voice cracking like dry wood. He closed the door behind him, walked slowly toward me, and for the first time in years, he didn't pretend to be loving. His face was blank, cold, honest. "Emery's not mine," he said. No explanation, no apology, just a blunt confession. My hand slammed over my mouth, not to silence myself, but to stop myself from screaming. My heart felt like it was melting inside my chest, draining warm blood into an empty pit. "But you always knew?" I whispered. He nodded. No shame, no panic, just a tired truth. "I knew the moment you got pregnant." I felt the world tilt again. "How? Why didn't you say anything?" My anger shook through my words. He sat down across from me, elbows on his knees like a man settling into a long story. "Because I never thought you could get pregnant. The doctors told me years before I met you that I couldn't have children." I froze. My breath stopped. My spine stiffened like ice. "You what?" The words stumbled out of my throat like a dying thought. "Infertile. My husband. The man who beamed when Emery was born. The man who acted obsessed during my pregnancy. The one who whispered, 'Thank God,' as if the universe had given him a miracle. In reality, his miracle was a nightmare. I thought you cheated," he said quietly. "I thought Emery belonged to someone else." His confession slapped me harder than a physical blow. "You spent 42 years thinking I cheated? And you never asked me? Never confronted me?" His eyes burned, not with rage, but something far worse. Shame mixed with possessiveness. I didn't want to lose you. And when I saw Emery, when I held him, something changed. I told myself he was mine. I forced myself to accept it. He shook his head, a bitter smile twisting his lips. "But I never trusted you again." A chill crawled over my skin. Decades of memories rewrote themselves in my mind. All the odd questions, his watchful stares, the way he listened too carefully when people commented on Emery's features, the overprotectiveness of my pregnancy, the constant suspicion I always chalked up to love. It was never love. It was surveillance. "But you raised him as your son," I whispered, shaking. "Why ask me to hide it now?" His gaze sharpened, and suddenly, he looked afraid. "Because you don't know who his father is?" My stomach twisted into a knot so painful I thought I would throw up right there. "What are you talking about?" I demanded. He stood up and paced, running both hands through his graying hair. I kept wondering who the real father was all these years, but I never asked. And then, a year ago, Emery took that commercial DNA test. We linked our accounts, and suddenly I started seeing things. He turned to face me, and this time his voice shook. Matches, relatives, names that shouldn't be there. People from a family connected to someone I knew. Someone who should never have been anywhere near you. My veins froze solid. My fingers stung as if ice water flowed through them. I whispered, "Who?" Harold swallowed hard, struggling with the words. "Your doctor, Margaret. Your OBGYN. The one who treated you when you were having trouble conceiving." My mind exploded with thousands of fragmented memories. Dr. Collins. The kind, soft-spoken physician who comforted me through my miscarriages, who encouraged me to keep trying, who called me strong, who hugged me when I cried in her office. A woman, Who helped me get pregnant? But Harold's face told me something darker. Something that didn't make sense. She wasn't just your doctor, he whispered. She was part of a private fertility trial. A trial you never agreed to. A trial you never knew about. My throat closed. He continued, voice barely audible. She used donor sperm. Without telling you. Without asking you. I felt dizzy. Donor sperm. Not Harold's. Not mine to choose. Placed in my body without consent. My hands shook so violently I thought they'd tear apart. No. I whispered. No, that's impossible. She would never. She did, he interrupted. And the DNA test confirms who the donor came from? I stared at him, horror crawling up my spine. My heartbeat thumped so loud it echoed in my ears. Who? I asked again, knowing the answer would break me. He leaned in, his voice trembling in a way I had never heard from him before. It's someone who's still alive, Margaret. Someone who could take Emery away. Someone who doesn't even know what happened back then. My nails dug into my palms. My voice dropped to a whisper soaked in dread. Who is it? Harold looked me in the eyes and finally said, Your doctor used her brother. My world went silent. Her brother? A stranger? A man who unknowingly fathered my child. Before I could even react, Harold grabbed my hand, whispering, and he's been looking for his biological son. For his biological son.